A very good morning to you and welcome to Signature Morning. I am Godwin Sunday. Security, like you know, is everybody's business. It is a collective responsibility and not a selective one. That is, if you want a better security, you need to get involved in one way or the other to be able to provide efficiency in policing of your environment by way of providing information or other form of assistance to people saddled with the responsibility of providing security even in your neighborhood. Now, speaking of security, this morning, I have a guest that is seated with me that will be discussing with me this morning about the state of the nation security-wise, and he is the national coordinator of Organization of Voluntary Uniform Organization, Association of Voluntary Uniform Organization is the national coordinator, and he is no other than Ambassador Abraham Kwafan. Abraham, you're welcome to Signature Morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's get into the business of this conversation, talking about security. I understand that voluntary organization, uniform organization, has been on the forefront of trying to prefer security, even at their own local level, talking about the Boy Scouts, talking about the Man O Wars, the Brigade, and what have you. But let's get you talk to us first. What is the voluntary uniform organization? What it's all about, and what's the brain behind the establishment of this organization?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, the name is Ambassador Abraham Kwafan, by a special grace of God, the National Coordinator, National Association of Uniform Voluntary Organization in Nigeria. National Association of Uniform Organization is the umbrella body of all voluntary uniform organizations in Nigeria. Like I said before, we have over 200 voluntary uniform organizations cut across Nigeria, but so far those who have met the requirement and are members of the National Association of Uniform Organizations so far are over 50. And we came together because we discovered there's a vacuum that needs to be filled, and the vacuum is a complementation or complementing the efforts of security agencies in the fight against insecurity, fight against terrorism, and fight against the social vices. And basically what we do is we have the aim of promoting unity and diversity. We also do the job of bringing all the uniform organizations together and see how we can be able to work strictly on our mandate. So basically what we're doing is come together, form the association, and see how we can be able to make that positive impact in the lives of younger ones and then in the nation building. Above all, we are doing a good job of promoting volunteerism in Nigeria.
All right, so speaking of promoting volunteerism and promoting it with uniform, volunteers in uniform, yes. I don't know if that's what it is.
Yes.
All right, so we understand again that it has become like a normal trajectory. You can use the word a decimal factor and a recurring phenomenon in the Nigerian space where we have uniform personnel abuse uniform and in the way of torturing, in the way of brutalizing. We've seen that over and over again. And lately, we've seen volunteers and if also want to start exhibiting that tendency. Are there policies being put in place to ensure that volunteers stay within their rank and file and not go outside their stipulated rules and regulations? What is your organization doing to ensure that volunteers stay within their confines?
Yes, volunteerism, like I say, one of our key watchword is discipline. We don't joke with discipline at all. And we ensure all our members in all the uniform organizations stay within their limits. We don't allow them go outside and do those things like bullying, abuse of uniform and all of that. That we don't allow at all. If we see any of such, we take it up with the particular organization that we see its members misbehave. We take it up with them and ensure they receive the desired punishment so that others will see it as a deterrent not to try it again. And apart from that, we're also working tirelessly to ensure that our members abide by the discipline and then work within their limit, especially in terms of uniform. Because that is where we discover some where, young guys coming up, they want to wear khaki, they want to be like army, they begin to carry other items that are not part of their uniform. Some putting on tear gas, some putting on jackknife and all of that. They need cover and all of that. But we make sure we sensitize them, we educate them to make sure they stay within their limits so that they will not go outside and commit something that tomorrow they will start accusing them of abuse of uniform and all of that. We are working seriously on that. And apart from that, we also embark on so many trainings. Since my resumption of office as the national coordinator for the past 5 years plus, now heading to 6 years, we have over 10 leadership programs aimed at educating, sensitizing, and creating awareness so that our members know what is expected of them and then stay within their limit. Apart from the program we organize, we go around the state to sensitize them, educate them, and then train them on volunteerism to ensure that they stay within their limit.
Thank you so much for that quick response. You've said on one hand when you gave introduction of what the organization is all about, that you assist the government in fighting terrorism and other social vices. And on the other hand, the organization are being controlled not to carry tear gas. But we know also that when they go out to carry out their primary responsibility, although as volunteers, they might likely be attacked. Are there form of insurance or policy that guides them when they go out there? What protects them? Is there an insurable interest from this organization? So parents out there that want their children to be part of this volunteering, uniform volunteers at this point in time, and they can get that assurance from you that if your child is a uniform volunteer, it can be protected from A, Y, and Z. Are there insurance policy around uniform volunteers right now in Nigeria?
Okay, first and foremost, let me start from here. One, we need to get this thing right. Like I mentioned before now, the Constitution of the country, or Federal Republic of Nigeria, provides that the main security responsibility is the job of the security agencies, which is the police, army, and all of that. But beyond that, as volunteers, we have a responsibility, or let's say one of our social responsibility is to complement their efforts. So from time to time, we synergize with them, we partner with them to go for such function or a program like you mentioned. So when they are going out for such program, provisions are made to cater for some of this. But to say there's a written policy on insurance cover, I think that is not yet there, because the responsibility has some limitation. And that is why we are working towards ensuring that the government of the day accept volunteerism and promote volunteerism. That is part of the reason why we have written to Mr. President, we have written to Minister of Youth to make sure there's a framework to accommodate volunteerism when they are doing their best to complement the security agencies. But apart from that, we also have some of our members who are faith-based, who do their job within the church environment. And we encourage the churches and the mosque that they work in to make sure they have a policy to cover them, so that if you're on duty and there's any hazard, they can be able to take care of that. That we are working on it. But most importantly, we are working with the government to make sure we have this cover. Like the Office of NMVS, there's a department under Secretary to Government of the Federation, National Volunteers Corps. They are the ones who have been saddled with the major responsibilities of volunteerism. So we work with them hand in hand, and as we speak, they are about launching their database. And with that database, all the volunteers in Nigeria will be able to register there formally. By the time you register under that database formally, you have the cover of the government, and then if there's anything of such, we'll know the government send you for such, and then there will be provision for that accordingly.
So as it stands right now, you're saying that there's no form of insurance for volunteers, even uniform volunteers in Nigeria?
Yes, for now, there's no formal policy. And you know, since there's no formal policy, insurance cannot just come. You know, what volunteers first in Nigeria today is, a lot of our operation is just a pure volunteer activities. Let me just give you an example.
Okay.
For the past 1 month, we've been going around the 36 states of the Federation. As we speak, tomorrow we'll be continuing again. But all this movement are personal efforts. We don't have the support of the government. I think what the ministry did was to give us a letter of endorsement to say that, okay, we know what you are doing a good job, commissioners in various states support them. But the support is not forthcoming. But can we now say because we don't have that support yet, we don't have that policy yet, we should allow volunteerism to die a natural death? And the answer is no. We keep pushing until the government will discover what they are lacking behind, what they are missing, and they'll say how to come to our aid. Like I said before, the letter we wrote to His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the Honorable Minister of Youth, the Honorable Minister have responded, and the response is quite encouraging, because in the letter we are requesting for National Volunteers Corps. You are saying the government doesn't have money to engage a new organization. Then give us National Volunteers Corps. With the National Volunteers Corps, we can bring volunteers from different organizations. And this is inclusive governance we're also talking about. The youth will get to know, this organization will get to know that, okay, we'll have a stake in this government. And in so doing, they will give in their best to make sure they support the administration to succeed. So we have written and the minister have responded, and the response is quite encouraging. And we're looking forward that within short possible time, something will come up that will benefit the volunteers. The volunteers will also have a stake in the governance, and they will be able to give in their best in complementing the efforts of the government, complementing the efforts of the security agencies, and make sure they do their best to reduce the insecurity and the terrorism activities to the barest minimum. Why I'm saying this is, for now, maybe you have a vital information you need to give to the government to get to reduce the crime, but you are afraid. After all, what is my stake? The ordinary subvention that they used to give volunteers, today they are not giving again. And the answer is, why are they doing this? Because maybe they don't know the importance of volunteerism. But there are other countries in the world who are doing very well with their volunteerism. In fact, as a matter of fact, there's what we call African Volunteers Corps, African Union Volunteers Corps. It was launched here in Nigeria. The president of this country was in attendance. The former president was in attendance. ECOWAS have it. But why can't we bring it down to the nation so that volunteers will know they can also make their impact in nation building? They can make their impact in promoting volunteerism. They can also make impact in reaching out to where the government cannot be able to reach. When we are talking of complementing security agencies, we are not joking over this. How many policemen do we have in Nigeria? How many army do we have in Nigeria? But we have volunteers in every community. Any community you get to, and you ask of a volunteer, they say there's no volunteer, run away from that village because there's something fundamental about them. We have the population of over 10 million volunteers across Nigeria. And if all of them come together and say, we want to assist government to achieve, I want to assure you, we will get to where we are going.
You get to where you're going to exactly, but let's talk about this issue of volunteers again in the country. I'm curious, looking at the fact that we have a high rise of insecurity across board in the state, especially here within the Federal Capital Territory. We have a lot of insecurity that is thriving. If you get to Kubwa, you get to Duse, Buari, Gwagwalada, and other divisions, even Marabanyanya, all of those places have become like a flashpoint. And you've mentioned that we have volunteers that can surreptitiously combat these crimes. I'm asking at this point, if the government is not giving enough recognition as it stands right now, and there are no insurance policy being put together, and ECOWAS, like you mentioned, have recognized volunteers corps across, and even African Union has recognized volunteer corps. Do you think that Nigeria is ready for volunteer corps at this time? Looking at the fact that Boy Scouts has been there for time immemorial. Brigade, Boys Brigade. Way back in school, you hear people talk about Boy Scout. Hear people talk about, I want to become a Boy Scout to join the Nigerian Army. I want to become a Boy Scout to join the Nigerian, and a Boys Brigade to join. It was like a recruitment process to become a military personnel way back. Then way back, you also look at the height. So, okay, Boy Scout teaches this. They teach you how to fall like a man of war. I might be wrong. Yeah, they teach you to fall like a man of war. You go to
like
the ground.
a dying tree.
Yes, you know this thing. So, if going backward, flashing back, and coming to the present, we've not gotten it right in terms of policy and insurance for volunteers. Do you think we are still right to talk about volunteers? Or at this point, everybody should become volunteer? Then should be registered under the organization?
Well, we don't need everybody to become volunteer, but the government, I think awareness, sensitization, and enlightenment campaign is very vital here, and that is what we are trying to do. The security agencies, most of them don't know that there are some group of people over there who can be of assistance to them. Even if they know, maybe they play ignorant. And that is why we are trying to push it to them. We are trying to let them know that, look, the people you are underrating or the people you feel they cannot be able to make impact can actually help you achieve the result you are looking for. Take, for instance, during Sunday services, you cannot see a policeman carry a gun and enter into the service. At most, you'll be at the gate. But we'll have Boys Brigade members, we'll have Girls Brigade members who will be in the service. We'll have Rare Ambassadors, we'll have Rare Rangers, we'll have Catchery Cadet, we'll have MOD, who are members of the congregation. So they can be there. If there's anything, they will get this information and pass it across to the man on the gate with the arm, who know what to do best. The same thing if you go to mosque, we'll have the likes of Ahmadiyya, you have First Aid, we'll have a lot of them, Hizbah and all of that, who are members of the congregation, who know what is happening there. They'll get this information and send it to you for you to act. Because the police cannot be able to do their job very well if they don't have such information they need to work. And that is why when you talk of the suburb, Maraba, Kuba, and so on, if we have this information and we keep quiet over it, then police cannot do anything. Because one, their numerical strength is very small, and then in terms of equipment also. But if they have the needed information to combat crime, I want to assure you they will do their best. Apart from that, professionalism also come to play. So if we have volunteers who are professionals and know what to do when the need arises, I want to assure you the issue of volunteerism will go a long way. And again, when you talk of everybody coming on board, it's good people should volunteer, but at the same time, you cannot just volunteer if you don't know what you are volunteering for. What are you volunteering for? Like myself, I've been a member of Boys Brigade for the past 35 years. Yes, I've been serving as a Boys Brigade for the past 35 years. In fact, the platform I'm serving as the national coordinator was given to me by the Boys Brigade. So from that time till now, I know the importance of volunteering. And that is why I take pleasure in doing what we're doing to make sure we get people sensitized. We have taken a responsibility as part of activities to commemorate United Nations International Volunteers Day, to go around the 36 states of the Federation, to sensitize our people, to get them to know what is expected of them, create awareness. Some people, you get to a particular state and talk of volunteerism, say, which one may volunteerism in Kuma? Because some of them don't even know. We were in Katsina last month, and I want to assure you we have over 50 different organizations that turn up to welcome us and to know what the volunteerism is all about. And that is what we're doing. By God's grace, tomorrow we'll still continue. We're going around the remaining 30 states to make sure we sensitize them so that come 29th of November to 5th of December, all of us will assemble here in Abuja to commemorate UN International Volunteers Day. And during that time, we'll be having a band competition, we'll be having drill competition.
All right, Ambassador Abraham, before we get to that point, let me bring your attention again to the fact that proliferation of small arms in Africa is becoming very alarming as it stands right now. And also other small banditry group are springing forth. Yet, uniformed personnel and volunteers are not allowed, as it stands right now by the Constitution, to carry firearms or carry any form of weapon, like you rightly said. Don't you think that this is a disadvantage? It will be of disadvantage to uniformed personnel, to voluntary uniformed personnel across the board that want to also carry out that, enforce their responsibility that they've been trained for. Don't you think that this is more of a disadvantage to them? Let's get you react. Do you think at this point in time that the government should be looking at them, empowering volunteers and uniform volunteers with firearms to be able to discharge their responsibility? Let's get you talk to us about this line of thought.
Yes, for now, we're not agitating for carrying arms yet. The first things first. First, the government should be able to have a database of all the voluntary uniform organizations in Nigeria. In having that database, it will help them reduce the challenges we are having. And what are the challenges we are talking about? A lot of organizations come under the influence of registering as a voluntary uniform organization. But beyond the scene, or behind the scene, what they have in mind is different. So like I mentioned in one of our meetings with the NFVS, the most important thing now is we need to have the database of all the voluntary uniform organizations. Two, we also need to have vetting of the members of this organization so that we're sure, because anybody who is coming on board to volunteer willingly will not have a hidden agenda, will be willing to also volunteer all the details about him. So that if there's anything, we can easily say it's coming from here or it's coming from there. That is number one. Number two, we're also saying by the time you do the vetting and you have the database of the voluntary organization, what we used to have before we call subvention, to help some of these organizations move forward, they should reinstate it. So that you are given a subvention to this organization, they will know they are answerable to you. They also have a stake in the government. That will help. Then the most important one now is the one we are calling for government to do something about it, National Volunteers Corps. By the time we have National Volunteers Corps, by then it's like government setting a task force and you are giving them a responsibility. By that time we can say, okay, people who are being posted to complement the security agencies in so place, because of the nature of the job, they can be given 1, 2, 3 to support their work. That is a different ball game. But for now, we're not agitating for arms. But we want government to look into what they can do to bring the youth and promote volunteers and see what we can be able to do to reduce the cost of governance, reduce the insecurity, reduce the unemployment, at the same time give the youth a sense of belonging, especially volunteers.
All right, especially volunteers. Now, let's ask again at this point, if given the opportunity, if government decides to now come up with the Uniform Volunteers Corps and approve it, how long will it take for one to begin to experience a much more secured Nigeria as it stands right now? So would this be a panacea? Will it be an immediate solution to solving the insecurity challenge we have in the Far East, in the northeast, in the eastern part of Nigeria, in the western part of Nigeria, and other parts of Nigeria? Would this be the first remedy? And what's the duration, if given the opportunity for this corps to be passed as it stands right now?
I want to say categorically, without mixing words, that one of the major challenges that we're having in security is, one of them is unemployment. So if you are given National Volunteers Corps an opportunity to excel and it comes to existence, within a period of 61 years, you have a significant change. Why do I say so? Like I said before, in every community, in every village, in every society, there's a volunteer. And in picking members of the National Volunteers Corps, you pick in every community, in every local government, in every state like that. So by the time you bring them together, they will do a job of intelligent information gathering for the security agencies. Where the security agency cannot be able to enter, they are already there. So if anything happening within that environment, they will be able to get such information and pass it across to you. In so doing, those things that used to happen without those things that happen and go unnoticed will become noticed, because there are people who can be able to, as soon as they get the information, they drop it on the platform, and the people in authority get to know of it, and then they react. And in so doing, there should be accountability. There should be a drastic reduction in the level of insecurity. And as more as we bring the youth on board, the more they feel belonging, the more they want to make impact, the more the crime reduce, and the more the people that have been coming close to them to try to woo them on their part run away, and the crime reduce. So give us that opportunity. Promote volunteerism.
Promote volunteerism. Well, before we let you go at this point, I want to also ask, just as a takeoff of your tour so far across Nigeria. I believe you're not going with weapons. Also, you're not armed, and you're going free. Now, coming to you personally, if you get attacked on, let's use the Nigerian niche of God forbid, something happened on the road, will you also respond if you are to be in that situation, or you just overlook, just as a takeoff?
Thank you. This is a very interesting question. You know, one thing I like about my country, Nigeria, is we believe in God, just that we don't obey God. So I'm one of those people that strongly believe that God protects.
And you strongly obey God?
Yeah, and he helped me. So even in this journey, we are not carrying arms. We don't even have any arm to carry. But one, we have this strong belief. A white man will take a journey to the sun, to the moon, believing, not being very sure whether he will come back alive or so. But for the fact that he's making history, he's convinced and is prepared to go for that. I believe in volunteerism. If in course of the journey and God say, okay, you have done enough, rest here, so be it. But I want to believe the good Lord I serve, who has been protecting us all these years, will also give us the grace. The job we have started will complete it for his name to be glorified.
I want to say thank you so much, Ambassador Abraham, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you
I
very
want
much,
to say journey mercies as you journey and tour around the entire Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, this is how far we can go today on Signature Morning. Till I come your way again, same time, same station. Keep watching Signature Morning. I'll return you back right now to our Enugu office for more details and more information on what's trending. Please stay tuned.